Inside Gaming is sponsored by ExpressVPN. Why haven't you gotten a VPN yet? Visit expressvpn.com/inside.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to Inside Gaming Daily for Monday. Let's clap for another day in paradise, huh? By paradise, I mean sitting in my pajamas and eating Cheez-Its for breakfast. Body, mind, soul.
We should just stop naming the days like what day it is because they're all just running together.
No,
frankly.
this is all I have left.
That's a good idea, actually.
Welcome back to Weeks Day.
The biggest loss of the coronavirus was the loss of Soup Plantation. I can't wait till I can go back to those buffet restaurants and just go nuts.
So we all know what's on everyone's mind lately. No, we're not talking about the Rona. We're talking about remakes. Remakes are all the rage these days. We've seen the Final Fantasy VII remake, Link's Awakening on the Switch, Warcraft 3 Reforged, honorable mention for the worst one, the most terrible. We got the Crash Bandicoot, we had Crash Team Racing, Spyro the Dragon. Probably the biggest success story has been Capcom slapping a fresh coat of paint on the Resident Evil series. There's more than a fresh coat of paint. They went in there and they like gutted the place.
They took it down to the studs, baby.
Yep.
But yeah, these have all been huge sellers, and now Capcom is going to remake possibly the most beloved Resident Evil game of all time. Code Veronica, let's go!
Let's go!
No, not that one.
What?
Sorry about that. I'm sorry.
No! The story broke over the weekend from Video Games Chronicle that Capcom has given the okay for a Resident Evil 4 remake. It's actually been in the works for a few years, and it's got a scheduled release of 2022. Hopefully not another god-awful year, but hey, at this point my standards are pretty low. And how much lower can we get? Very low is the answer.
Yeah, we still have electricity and computers. We're still hanging in there.
Yeah.
It can get way worse.
Until that goes away, we're fine. But will it be a good Resident Evil remake like 2 or a meh one like 3? They're remaking one of the most beloved Resident Evil games of all time. So it's going to be really important for Capcom to get this one right.
And here's what we know so far. It's led by M2, the new studio that's based in Osaka and founded by former Platinum Games CEO Tatsuya Minami. And while this might seem out of the blue, the studio has reportedly been preparing for the Resident Evil 4 remake over the last 2 years, but now VGC. The Chronicle reports that the game has entered full production.
And there's been rumors about this for a while too.
That's my euphemism for sex. Baby, it's time for me to enter full production.
Baby, I've been working on this for 2 years.
No!
Sorry, sometimes I forget that there's a girl in the chat. But yeah, M2 has already been involved with the series. They contributed to the recent Resident Evil 3 remake, but they're taking the lead on this one. Like the other remakes, VGC says that the new Resident Evil 4 will be a combined effort. M2 is at the head, but there's also going to be internal teams as well as some other external studios.
The game's original director, Shinji Mikami, has apparently blessed the project. He gave it a little... Yeah. He declined to lead it himself, but he's apparently given informal advice about the direction for the remake.
Don't suck!
Don't this up, or I'll kill you. I swear to God, I will come to Osaka and burn your offices to the ground.
Shinji said reportedly while holding the barrel of a gun to his head and saying, "Pull the trigger, I dare you," that he's really looking forward to seeing the project come to fruition. Do it!
Meanwhile, the development team for Resident Evil 4 will be larger than the other two remakes. Bigger's better, baby. According to industry insider Dusk Gollum, who has been right in the past when it comes to Resident Evil games. He's the one that said bigger is better, size matters.
Dusk Gollum confirmed that his name is Awesome, and he also confirmed VGC's report that a Resident Evil 4 remake is in the works. So did Gamatsu, citing a source familiar with the goings-on at Capcom. Dusk Gollum tweeted that the M2 team helped on the Resident Evil 3 remake, as we said, as a way to get some practice, and they're partly comprised of ex-Capcom and ex-Platinum Games staffers.
So it sounds like this team is long as well as has some girth to it.
Oh god.
Go on. And yeah, M2 is now heading up the Resident Evil 4 remake. Dusk Gollum tweeted that you can bet your ass they were also following the reception of RE3 remake closely to see what worked, didn't work, etc.
Why didn't people like Resident Evil 3?
We'll get to that.
Well, Patrick, some people have complained that the Resident Evil 3 remake cut a lot of content from the original and didn't feel fleshed out enough for a $60 game. Plus, there was a multiplayer mode that nobody asked for. Stop giving me things, I hate it! I don't want to talk to people or play with them.
I miss the PS3 days when every single game came with a multiplayer mode for no reason. So it sounds like hopefully the team will be taking those criticisms to heart when remaking Resident Evil 4. It's also worth underscoring that the Resident Evil 4 remake won't even be the next Resident Evil game to be released. That would be Resident Evil 8, which is in development and would come out by next year. Yeah, I saw a bunch of people online, like when the third one came out, being like, don't remake 4. Please don't remake 4.
It feels pretty recent, but I guess it was like 12 or 13 years ago. I just remember my cousin giving me a copy for the Wii, and I started up and got too scared and never played it. And he kept asking me, he's like, can I have that back? I'm like, uh-huh. I didn't know where it was.
So yeah, there probably isn't even going to be a review reveal of the Resident Evil 4 remake for at least another year. We gotta wait ahead of us, boys. But what about a Code Veronica remake? Some are already asking for that, and while there doesn't seem to be any current plans, Dusk Golem encouraged fans to make their voices heard if they want it, noting that Capcom listens to fan feedback more than many think they do. And after Resident Evil 8, I think will be the most likely time Code Veronica may be put on the table if Capcom thinks there's interest. So I guess they do those fan surveys. Lots of people do that, but he's claiming that they actually listen to these,
Of course, it's no secret why they're doing these remakes. The games have been huge sellers. The remake of Resident Evil 2, which came out last year, was a big hit with critics and fans. Sold about 6.5 million units, which exceeded Capcom's own expectations. While the Resident Evil 3 remake didn't get the same glowing reviews that the Resident Evil 2 remake did, it still sold 2 million units in just 5 days. That's a lot of units. That's more than half of the sales of the original game, which sold a total of 3.5 million.
So it's proof that a good or even a decent remake can be a huge moneymaker for a company.
This one definitely isn't, am I right?
Talk about us.
Let's talk about us.
I
I get it.
But yeah, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe for Switch, basically just a port of the Wii U game. It did have a few more features added on in the DLC, but it is the best-selling Switch game by far. Nearly 23 million copies sold as of the end of last year. So yeah, it was basically the same game. I mean, there were some differences, but it was huge, and you can just, I don't know, remake things indefinitely.
But Capcom is treading into potentially dangerous waters with the Resident Evil 4 remake. It was originally released for the GameCube 15 years ago and reinvented some of the series' core gameplay mechanics, switching to an over-the-shoulder view and shifting from straight horror tone to more of a tense action game.
Yeah, and so do zombies. The enemies in Resident Evil 4 are members of a religious cult who swarm you, and sometimes when you make big changes like that to a franchise, it can be a disaster. But Resident Evil 4 is now considered a classic and one of the best games ever made.
I saw this tweet that was describing what Resident Evil games were like, and it was like...
Resident Evil. What if a up guy walked toward you?
I was like, yeah, that's a really succinct description.
Yeah, that over-the-shoulder perspective really went on to influence a bunch of games across many different genres, and over the years, Resident Evil 4 has definitely been ported to lots of different consoles. There have been HD editions made, but this is the first full-on ground-up remake of the game. But there is a big question, though, of whether fans actually want a remake of Resident Evil 4.
Yeah, VGC did a Twitter poll asking fans if the game needs a remake, and more than 8,700 people responded. Nearly 46% of them said no, compared to just 38% who said yes.
Is there a way to play it currently without emulation? So there might not be a lot of demand there, or people are just trolling. Guarantee you that a bunch of the people who said no would buy the remake if it was made, for sure. Especially considering how successful the previous ones have been. We smell a bit of internet contrarian on the horizon.
That smells like internet contrarianism and body odor. But yeah, regardless, anytime you tinker with a classic like this, there's a chance it could be a big mess. But Capcom has shown they can pull this off, well, to varying degrees. Some are better than others. But if they do a good job with Resident Evil 4, this will almost definitely mean huge sales, internet contrarians aside, as the game gets introduced to a whole new generation of fans. It's 15 years old, so it's kind of right on that bubble, you know, of being like, it's definitely old, but it's not ancient.
Yeah, you can go back and play it without like smashing your controller in frustration, because I've had that. I tried to play it because when I was a kid, I totally missed the Resident Evil games, never played them, and then I tried to go back just to like know what the people were talking about basically, and it was like I hate this. The controls, not the game itself, but just like playing the game feels so bad when you're used to like normal modern game controls.
I had a new rise of interest in these games because I got very interested in herbs as an adult.
Like
thyme?
I'll leave that one up to you guys.
Basil, oregano. Yeah, this is a high-risk, high-reward situation, but really that describes pretty much all of AAA game development these days. Budgets are higher than ever, and even if a game sells decently, it might not turn a profit. Like Borderlands 3, right? That's why they stiffed everyone, they said. Made a profit, but not that much of a profit.
Enjoy your Chili's gift card.
Well, that's another episode of... I noticed something. When we're in the studio, Mondays are usually the roughest because you have to like shake off all the gunk, but at home, I think our energy wanes over the week.
No, it definitely does.
Monday we're like, I'm starting in my house. I've got the energy. I haven't talked to anyone all weekend, really. So
yeah, we're like, you know what?
Show.
It's nice to still have a job. Let's do
Yeah,
this.
yeah. We're all talking to each other, and then Friday, it's like, who wants to do the yes? I don't.
Computer and Video Games, aka CVG, gave it a 9 out of 10, stating,
The first two games set the standard for survival horror, smothering gamers in gore and leaving them screaming for more. Now the third unholy incarnation is here to show all the pretenders how it's really done. Was that 90s?
nice.
It's fantastic.
GameSpot at the time